Okay, hi. I'm Pandu from the Red Closet. In the 5th century AD, there was a barbarian ruler with a fierce temper. He was recognized as one of the most fearsome men who ever lived. He was Attila the Hun. He is known by the nickname Flagellum Dei, which means God's punishment. So, in this episode I'm gonna talk about Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun was a formidable leader of the Huns in the 5th century AD. As ruler of the nomadic Hun army and leader of the Hun Empire, Attila traveled around the Eastern and Western Roman empires. It wreaks havoc along the way. In 395, the Huns finally made their first attack on the Roman province. They looted and burned most of the Roman East. Their nightmare had finally come true. Before the Huns stepped on Roman soil, the Romans were already very afraid of the Huns. They heard scary stories about the Huns of the Germanic tribes breaking through the Roman borders. The appearance and customs of the Huns, which were very different from other tribes, only increased the fear of the Romans. After their successful break-in, they looted and burned towns, villages, and church communities in the eastern part of the Roman Empire. Okay, before we go too deep, you can click the subscribe button so you don't miss the next content. Okay, let's go on. The Balkans in particular were devastated, and some of the Roman borders were given to the Huns after they were completely plundered. Satisfied with the wealth they found in the Byzantine Empire, the Huns settled for the long term. The leaders of the Huns enriched themselves and their people, and they founded an empire on the Roman borders. The Hun Empire was centered around what is now Hungary, and its size is disputed. In addition to his prowess in war, the Huns are famous for their leader, Attila. Attila has been the subject of many gruesome stories, which have obscured his identity. Perhaps the most famous and iconic story about Attila dates back to the Middle Ages. At that time Attila met a Catholic saint, Saint Lupus. The always friendly Attila introduced himself to the servant of God by saying, "I am Attila, a punishment sent by God." That title has stuck with him to this day. According to a Roman diplomat, Priscus, who met Attila in person, the great leader of the Huns was a small man. Contrary to his physique, Attila has high self-confidence and charisma. Despite his great wealth of loot, he lived very frugally. Instead of looking luxuriously like a king, he chose to dress and act as a simple traveler. He ruled with his brother Bleda in 434 AD and ruled alone from 445. Contrary to what many people think, Attila actually carried out fewer attacks than is commonly believed. But it is famous mainly for the extortion it did on the Roman Empire. Since the Romans were very afraid of the Huns because of the rumors circulating, Attila took advantage of that fear. The Romans signed the Treaty of Margus in 435, which guaranteed regular gold tributes in exchange for peace. Attila frequently violated treaties, making raids into Roman territory and looting cities. He became very rich thanks to that. And the Romans, in an attempt to avoid fighting, they continued to make new treaties with the Huns. Attila's reign of terror will not last long. After usurping the wealth of the Byzantine Empire and realizing its power, Attila turned his focus to the Western Empire. Attila had apparently been planning to move against the West for some time. However, his attack was officially provoked after he received a letter of commendation from Honoria, a member of the Western imperial family. Attila used this excuse to attack the West. He claims that he came to save his long-suffering bride. The Huns soon destroyed the Gauls, attacking many major cities, including the heavily fortified border city of Trier. These were some of the worst attacks by the Huns, but in the end they were able to stop Attila. In AD 451, the great Western Roman general Aetius assembled an army consisting of Goths, Franks, Saxons, Burgundians, and other tribes, all allied in the common goal of protecting their new western lands from the Huns. The great battle began in the Champagne region of France, in the area then known as the Catalaunian Fields. The mighty Attila was finally defeated in a grueling, fierce battle. Lost but not destroyed. As if not wanting to lose, the Huns turned their troops around to plunder Italy before finally returning home. For unknown reasons, Attila was forbidden from attacking Rome on this final adventure. It happened after he met Pope Leo the Great. Soon Attila died of an internal hemorrhage on his wedding night in 453. After Attila's death, the Huns did not survive long after Attila. The fellow tribesmen started fighting amongst themselves. After several catastrophic defeats at the hands of the Romans and Goths, the Huns were completely destroyed and the tribe seemed to vanish from history. Okay, that's all from Attila the Hun story. If you have a request or suggestion, you can write it in the comment below. If you like this content, please share this video to your friends, your family, your girlfriend or boyfriend. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you all.